It was a typical evening in my small apartment in the heart of the city. I had recently moved in, attracted by its quaint charm and proximity to my new job. The building, an old brick structure, had its quirks, but it felt like home. The weather forecast had warned of a severe thunderstorm, and as dusk settled in, the sky grew ominously dark. I had just returned from a tiring day at work and was looking forward to a quiet night in. I made a simple dinner, spaghetti with a jar of marinara sauce, and settled on my couch with a book. The wind howled outside, and I could hear the distant rumble of thunder approaching. As I delved into my book, the storm began to unleash its fury. Lightning illuminated my living room intermittently, followed by thunder that seemed to shake the walls. I was deeply engrossed in my reading when a sudden knock at my door startled me. It was odd for someone to visit unannounced, especially on such a stormy night. With a sense of unease, I approached the door. Peering through the peephole, I saw nothing but the dimly lit hallway of my apartment building. After a moment's hesitation, I opened the door to an empty corridor, the sound of rain and thunder echoing through the space. Feeling slightly unnerved, I quickly shut the door and returned to my book. The knocking, however, resumed shortly, more urgent this time. Again, I checked, only to find the hallway deserted. A chill ran down my spine. Deciding to ignore it, I tried to focus on my book, but the sense of unease grew. Then, amidst the cacophony of the storm, I heard an unsettling sound within my apartment, a soft, dragging noise coming from the direction of my bedroom. My heart skipped a beat. The building was old, but these sounds were unfamiliar, out of place. I hesitantly made my way towards the bedroom, my footsteps muffled by the old wooden floor. As I reached the bedroom door, I noticed it was slightly ajar, even though I was certain I had left it closed. I paused, listening for any sound that might explain the unease settling over me. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open. The bedroom was dark, the only light coming from the occasional flashes of lightning. I fumbled for the switch and flicked on the light. The room looked normal at first glance. But then I noticed something unsettling. The closet door was slightly open, and there were wet footprints on the floor leading to it. Footprints that weren't mine. Panic set in. Someone was in my apartment. My mind raced as I contemplated my next move. Should I confront whoever was in the closet or run? I decided against confrontation, turned, and sprinted back to the living room, my heart pounding in my chest. I grabbed my phone to call 911 but hesitated, wondering if I was overreacting. That's when I heard it, a soft creaking sound from the bedroom, like the closet door being opened. I didn't wait any longer and dialed 911, my hands shaking as I explained my situation to the dispatcher. They assured me help was on the way and advised me to lock myself in the bathroom and stay quiet. I followed their instructions, locking the bathroom door behind me. I could hear the muffled sounds of someone moving around in my apartment, the sense of intrusion overwhelming me. Time seemed to stand still as I waited, my ears straining to pick up any sound over the storm. Finally, I heard the reassuring sound of sirens, and moments later, a loud knock on my apartment door. I heard the police announce themselves and the sound of footsteps as they entered. After what felt like an eternity, a knock came at the bathroom door. "It's the police, you can come out now," a voice called. I opened the door to find 2 officers standing in my living room. They informed me that they had found a man in my bedroom, a stranger who had broken in seeking shelter from the storm and perhaps more. He had been apprehended and taken into custody. The aftermath was a blur of police statements and questions. The intruder had apparently entered through an unlocked window, lured by the empty apartment. I felt a mix of relief and violation, grateful for the police's swift response, but shaken by the invasion of my private space. The experience left a lasting impact. I became more vigilant about my safety, double-checking locks and windows every night. The sense of security I once felt in my own home had been shattered. As I lay in bed that night, listening to the fading storm, I couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability. The storm had passed, but its shadow lingered in my mind, a stark reminder of the fragility of safety in the solitude of one's home. It was a stormy weekend night early in the fall semester when a sudden downpour had drenched the city the entire day. As evening came, booming thunderclaps and bright lightning filled the dark night sky. I was living alone in a small rented apartment just off campus. The cramped space felt even more suffocating in the darkness. To kill time, I decided to watch a horror movie. After washing the dishes, I turned off all the lights except for a tiny bedside lamp to illuminate the living room. The living room was tiny, barely fitting a small couch and an old tube TV. I grabbed a pillow and a blanket, curling up on the couch as I hit play. Shortly after the movie started, a loud shattering sound came from the apartment parking lot downstairs, as if someone had smashed a car window. I flinched and instinctively hit pause, straining to listen for any movement outside. But all I could hear was the pattering of rain on the windowsill. It must be my imagination, I assured myself as I resumed the movie. Just then, a bright flash of lightning lit up the night sky, accompanied by earth-shaking thunder. I yelped in fright as the room suddenly lit up, and in that split second, I saw the silhouette of a tall, dark figure reflected on my living room window. My heart leaped out of my chest as goosebumps covered my skin. But as darkness flooded back in, the figure vanished without a trace, as if it had never been there. I took a deep breath, telling myself it was just an optical illusion. Yet my heart kept pounding hard, half fearful and half doubtful. Another ear-splitting thunderclap made my heart skip a beat. As silence returned, I worked up the courage to grab a flashlight and carefully inspected the window, but found nothing. I heaved a sigh of relief. Maybe I really was too jittery that my mind was playing tricks. As I sat back down on the couch, I realized my body felt feverish, as if I was running a temperature. My head also started to throb dully. I must be catching a cold, I thought. I paused the movie, intending to grab a bottle of water from the fridge. Just then, another bright flash of lightning lit up the room. To my utmost horror, I saw the tall, dark silhouette standing less than 10 feet behind me. I almost fainted as I let out a blood-curdling scream with all the strength I had left. Darkness flooded back and the figure disappeared again. But this time, I was certain it wasn't my imagination. There was truly an intruder who had broken in and was hiding inside this dark house, lurking and spying on my every move like a prowling beast. With trembling hands, I flicked on all the lights, desperately searching for where he might be hiding. But there was nothing. I knew I had to get out of there immediately. I rushed to the front door, but as soon as I fled downstairs, I saw 3 masked thugs trying to break into my car. Oh my God, they are together. I realized with a jolt that they were planning to hijack my car and use me to drive them away. Seeing me, 2 of them immediately charged toward me. I turned on my heels and fled down the dark hallway, screaming for help at the top of my lungs. Luckily, my cries woke some neighbors up and the 3 eventually fled. This was the terrifying home invasion experience I had when living alone in an apartment during a raging thunderstorm night. To this day, I still get jumpy when hearing thunder at night. And at least for a year, I couldn't bear staying alone overnight. Hopefully by sharing my story, I can remind everyone that extra caution should be taken during such extreme weather, and always keep in contact with others instead of staying home alone. It was a gloomy summer night. I was driving alone on a deserted country road. Rumbling thunders in the distance foretold a heavy rain coming. Exhausted from a business trip, I took this road thinking it could be a shortcut. But soon the heavy rain turned the path bleak and sparse. My car bumped on the dark road and I was starting to doze off. Just then, a bright lightning sliced through the sky. The engine of my car died down with a roar of thunder. My head jerked forward, nearly knocking onto the steering wheel. Still shocked, I tried starting the engine, but to no avail. I checked the gas meter anxiously, but it showed full tank. I attempted starting the car again and again, but it just wouldn't work. My car broke down in the storm. Having no choice, I decided to call for roadside assistance. Right then, I noticed lights of a car flashing by in the rearview mirror. Glancing back, I saw a minivan pulling over behind me. A middle-aged man in raincoat walked up straight to my car. I gripped tight on the steering, fearing he might be a gangster on the road. But as he approached, I realized he looked anxious, desperately asking me to give his child in the car some first aid. Turned out his kid was very ill, sitting in the back seat, their car breaking down on the way to hospital. His child was having high fever, on the verge of fainting. Seeing his worried look, I offered to take them to the nearest ER. The man thanked me repeatedly, supporting his son onto my back seat. I tried to start the car again, and fortunately, it miraculously came to life, possibly due to a temporary malfunction in the electronic system that had resolved itself. We moved slowly in the storming rain. I kept checking the kid and saw him slipping into semi-coma. "How much longer till the hospital?" the man asked anxiously. I told him to endure 10 more minutes. I hit the gas pedal, speeding through the waterlogged road. Just then, my car dashed through a puddle by the roadside with a loud bang, splashing muddy water everywhere. I stepped on the brakes to check the car condition. To my surprise, the child was gone from the back seat. That's impossible. He was just there. I looked back in horror, about to question the man. But I saw him raising a brick and knocking hard at my head. I woke up from unconsciousness to find myself bound hand and foot, my mouth sealed, lying in the grass by the roadside. It was a stormy night, with occasional lightning tearing through the sky and the rumble of thunder rolling in the distance. The sound of raindrops hitting the leaves created a gentle rustling, and apart from the thunder and rain, it was eerily silent. My mind was filled with fear and confusion as I tried to recall what had happened. Who were those people? And why had they done this to me? I tried to calm myself down and began to rub the ropes against the stones and branches nearby. After a strenuous effort, I finally managed to free my hands. Using all my strength, I untied the ropes and removed the cloth from my mouth. As I stood up, I felt dizzy, but I knew I had to leave quickly. I staggered to the nearest road, desperately trying to flag down a passing car. The driver, seeing my disheveled state, immediately called the police. Upon their arrival, I recounted the entire ordeal. It turned out that those people were robbers, posing as people in need of help. They had knocked me unconscious and stolen my car. The police informed me that there had been several similar incidents in the area recently, and they were already on the trail of these criminals. Though I was physically unharmed, the shock and fear in the depths of my heart were hard to overcome. That night's terrifying experience made me realize the importance of always being vigilant, even in seemingly normal situations. Ever since then, whenever I drive alone, especially at night or on secluded roads, I am extra cautious, wary of any potential dangers. That harrowing experience has become an unforgettable lesson in my life.